Hey everyone, I am super excited to guide you through today's explainer. We're going to be unpacking some seriously fascinating source material that pulls back the curtain on the hidden psychological frameworks of the ultra-wealthy. And just to be clear, we aren't talking about your standard budgeting tips today. We're digging into the deep, fundamental mental models that truly separate the ordinary from the extraordinary.
So here's a totally relatable frustration, right? Personal finance content is literally everywhere. Anyone can jump online right now completely for free and learn about the 50-30-20 rule, which mutual funds are trending, or how to set up an SIP. But if all this knowledge is just sitting there, fully accessible to early career professionals regardless of what they make, why are so many people still financially stagnant? Why aren't we all just masters of our money by now? Okay, let's dive into this. The source material points out that while standard financial concepts, budgets, SIPs, the basics, are super easy to learn, they aren't actually what builds extreme wealth. The real differentiator, it's adopting the deep psychological frameworks of the wealthy. It's not just about doing the math, it's about having a completely different nature and disposition toward your money, toward risk, and honestly, toward life itself. Real quick, here's our roadmap for today. We're extracting 6 specific mental models from the source, moving beyond basic finance, thinking like a chess player, leveraging asymmetric risk, embracing anti-fragility, the power of boring, and finally, detaching emotion from money. All right. Let's jump right into Section 1, Beyond Basic Personal Finance.
To really get this, we first need to establish the sheer scale of the gap between ordinary financial survival and extreme wealth. There is a massive, and I mean massive, mathematical difference between a millionaire, which is someone with around $1 million or 8.5 crore, and a billionaire, someone sitting at a cool $1 billion or 8,500 crore. The creator of our source material has actually personally worked with 4 billionaires and watched 2 of them cross this exact chasm right in front of him. And watching their journeys, how they handle cash, how they teach their kids, even how they casually chat with friends, made one thing absolutely crystal clear. Reaching this top tier requires an entirely different operational playbook than what the rest of us are using.
That brings us to Section 2, Thinking like a Chess Player. And this brilliantly illustrates the concept of next-order thinking. You see, when a master chess player makes a move, they aren't just looking at that single turn. They're calculating the board 5, 6, maybe 7 moves ahead. The wealthy play the exact same game with their financial decisions. Let's say an average person decides to take out a home loan because they can technically afford the monthly EMI. Seems like a totally safe standard decision, right? But the wealthy mind calculates the second, third, and fourth order consequences. Step 1, well, that loan requires a fixed monthly salary. Step 2, that requirement completely locks you into your current job. Step 4, because you're locked in, you lose your ability to take business risks. For the next 15 years, you literally can't quit to start a side gig because you are chained to that payment. So a supposedly safe decision effectively strangles your risk capacity. Crazy, right?
Which leads us to Section 3, the asymmetric risk advantage.
This concept naturally stems from thinking a few steps ahead. Standard financial advice usually preaches a very linear relationship with risk, especially in the corporate world. You take on a little more responsibility, you get a slightly bigger bonus. But here's the thing. The wealthy despise linear relationships. They look for asymmetric risk-reward. Simply put, that's an opportunity where the potential upside of a decision is vastly greater than the capped downside. Every decision has a risk-reward curve, and the wealthy actively hunt for that specific spot where the reward completely dwarfs the risk. Instead of just grinding for a 5% raise, they might start a side business. Sure, the risk of failure is higher, but if it takes off, the payoff is astronomically higher than any corporate salary could ever offer.
Let's compare the average mindset to the wealthy one using this amazing analogy from the source material, the casino of life. A lot of these ultra-wealthy folks actually come from super humble beginnings. But once they got a basic education and knew they were never going to starve, once their absolute baseline survival of food and shelter was locked in, their mindset just shifted entirely. The average mindset, once it gets comfortable, immediately starts playing defense. We optimize to protect our new phone, our car, our social status, our pride. But the wealthy mindset does the exact opposite. They look at this casino of life, realize their absolute worst-case scenario is just going back to a simple life where they still have food and shelter, and they decide to take massive swings. They stop asking, how do I protect what I have, and start asking, how high can I possibly climb?
All right, Section 4, Antifragility, thriving in chaos.
Now, If you're climbing that high, I guarantee you are going to face some severe turbulence. And that brings us to a heavy but incredibly vital concept called antifragility. The source creator leans on author Nassim Taleb for this one. Fragile things, they break under pressure. Robust things simply withstand the pressure. But anti-fragile things? They actually grow stronger because of the shocks, the obstacles, and the failures. It's this deep realization that an easy, super comfortable life will literally never make you strong. The minds that achieve extreme wealth are inherently anti-fragile.
So the crucial point is how you actually react to chaos. When things go south, a business struggles, the market completely tanks, the wealthy don't complain. They aren't throwing tantrums, they just pause and ask, okay, what is this teaching me? What weak points is this exposing that I wouldn't have noticed when things were easy? If the market drops, they don't panic. They see a giant sale and an opportunity to buy. If an emergency pops up, they learn how to bulletproof themselves for next time. By treating every single daily obstacle as a workout for their mental resilience, over a decade, they become virtually unbreakable.
Moving into Section 5, the power of boring. Now, being unbreakable is essential when you start looking at the compound interest not just of money, but of boring habits and repetitive skills. Let me walk you through this wild timeline from the source material about content creation. Think back to 2020, the COVID boom. Everyone was stuck at home, getting super excited about making videos, starting channels, posting online. Starting something new is always a rush, but by 2022, the novelty completely wore off. People realized it's actually just repeating the same editing, tweaking the same thumbnails, sitting in the same recording setups. It got boring. And that is exactly when 99% of people quit to go chase the next shiny object. But the wealthy mindset? They know that pushing through that exact boring phase is where the real magic happens. Today's extreme wealth is entirely built by the few who stayed when the work got unglamorous.
Now what's really interesting about this slide is this massive number right here, 1.5 crore, or 15 million followers. The creator notes this wasn't built through constant, thrilling excitement. It was built through the sheer, repetitive, mind-numbingly boring task of publishing over 500 long-form videos and 1,500 short-form videos. Through floods, through earthquakes, through days where they just didn't feel like it, the content still went out. It's the compound interest of doing the boring work every single day, whether that's fitness, relationships, learning a skill, or investing, that eventually explodes into crazy, incomprehensible results.
And finally, Section 6, detaching emotion from money.
This one involves a bit of a hard truth. We all love to tell ourselves that we're totally rational and practical with our money. But the truth highlighted here is that money is deeply, deeply emotional. We buy things not because we need them, but to fulfill desires or, let's be honest, to show off to the world. The average person lets those emotions drive the wheel, wildly reacting to daily news. A Tesla crashes on the news, they panic and sell. Paytm gets a regulatory notice, panic. Zomato announces a new wing, they blindly buy out of pure hype. It's all reaction, zero control. The wealthy mindset operates completely differently. They detach. They know daily market noise is completely irrelevant. They make practical investments based on long-term strategic value. And they stay put through the daily roller coaster because their eyes are locked purely on that long-term upward trajectory.
I absolutely love this analogy from the source material. Think of your investing journey like attending a 4-year college program. Over those 4 years, you're going to have some amazing days, and you're going to have some terrible, incredibly boring days where you're wondering why you even showed up to class. But you don't drop out of your entire degree program just because of one bad lecture, right? The day-to-day fluctuations don't matter because you know the overall 4-year trajectory is transforming you. The wealthy apply this exact same logic to their money. They zoom out, and they absolutely refuse to make terrible short-term decisions based on emotional market noise. And that leaves us with a pretty big question I want you to carry with you today. When you zoom out on your own life, when you apply that next-order thinking, when you evaluate your risk, when you're dragging yourself through the boring days, are your daily actions actually building true wealth, happiness, and control? I highly encourage you to really reflect on these mental models we've explored today. Adopting them might just be the absolute game changer you need to take full control of your long-term trajectory. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.